Today we'll be using an image that lends itself well to the pen tool. You could use the lasso tool if you wanted to try that. You could use the filter extract tool, and that might work quite well in this image. But because of the reflection in the plexiglass here, I will be using the pen tool. Pen tool gives you a lot more control, and you can always go back and refine your selection. And if you haven't used the pen tool before, it's very simple. Just start our first anchor, and this uses anchors now. If I just click, we create a straight line. I don't want to do that. I want to follow this curve here. So I follow the curve up a bit, and I'm not clicking at this point. I'm using a Wacom tablet to do this. It makes it a little bit easier. Click where I want my point to be made. Now we have a straight line. I am still clicking and drag to make a curve. Now this is going to create a bit of an S curve when I create the next point, as you can see here, and we just keep going along. Now this is time consuming. I'm using a tablet simply because it's easier. So I'm continuing to go around selecting the various parts of the image I want to use. We're using the pen tool still, clicking and dragging to make our curves. And at this point, I don't want an S curve, so I want to start fresh here. So I'm using the Alt or the Option key on the Mac here to select that and get rid of the curve. Now we can start fresh from that point. We've got a 90-degree angle there now. We'll refine the hair later. Because there's a large chunk of hair here, I will include this, because it looks natural. Just roughing it out at this point. I never get too particular about the hair this early on, because it's easier to fix it later. It's hard to get a perfect cutout for your hair. Okay, now this is where we get this is where we get a little more particular. Going around here, let's add a point, bring that in a bit, snug it all up. If you got some music you like to listen to, now's a good time to do it. You can spend a lot of time working on cutting this image out. The nice thing is, once it's cut out, you can use it again and again and again for many different purposes. You're not stuck with your original purpose. You can take this image and use it for just about anything. So it's good to keep it on file, and I like to keep a database actually of stock images that I think might be useful for other applications. Down to the bottom here, I'm just going to select around the bottom of the image, and we'll come back up here through the bottom. Continue selecting the shirt. Now I think I'd like to keep that reflection because I'm going to use this image for a similar concept I have for looking into the glass. So rather than having to create a reflection, this is a pretty clean reflection here. There's not much going on. I will come in here and grab the reflection. This is why you have to use the pen tool. Magic wand would never pick this up. Too blurry. The edge isn't refined enough. You would have a very tough time getting that selection with the magic wand or the extraction tool. We can always clean up the reflection later. I don't like this line going through there. I'll probably get rid of that. This is where you have to use your own judgment. Decide where is the hand here. I think it's going over this way. We can make it work later. If we don't like it, we can change it. We're going to have to cut this image out. I noticed this reflection cuts in through what we did. We'll have to cut this image out in more than one piece. That's fine. That's the nice thing about paths is we don't have to destroy the image. We create this path with the pen tool, and we can create multiple paths and then create our final selection from there. So just continue cutting out your image, and when you come back, I'll have a final cutout for you, ready to go. And we'll continue with step 2 of using the pen tool to cut out your image. And the next step would be to refine your selection using multiple paths to create the final selection, and then fixing the edge so that it isn't harsh.